Good evening, everyone. It's me again. Again, without a shirt, back in my mom's house currently. It's time to look back on last week and also to look forward on what is coming, as we always do right now on a weekly basis. Third week right now, and also during the week, I kind of also thought about this weekly recap as well. So I was thinking about this is something sick. I gotta mention that in the weekly recap. So that's also a good habit which I'm about to create for myself, to think about like, okay, this is happening. I gotta take this with me in the weekly recap. So I'm thinking about this throughout the week as well. And I'm noting that down as well to create even more like a better overview about my life and about the week in these videos. Let me put the light a bit more like this. I think this is way better. Okay, yeah, I think it was quite a hectic week, and this was with regards to events which were happening. It could be a dinner or something like, for example, at Tuesday, I was like smoking with Noel, and we had it was such a weird time, but we had so much fun. So I think like once upon a time you have to do things like this. Once in a couple months, these things like this, nights like this, you can look up to them, and yeah, we had a great time. It was like a dopamine hit, crazy as fuck. Like Wednesday, I got to recover from it quite badly, so that's the downside, of course. But like, we laughed so much, and like, but my sleep was ruined. I had a really weird night of sleep. But we gotta come back to that. Let me note one more thing down. This is just coming up to my mind and I gotta write it down. It was about like, I was just mentioning sleep, and I gotta think about the fact that I gotta use and leverage my aura more. So that is exactly what I wrote down. What were the exact things which were happening about through the week? Like as mentioned, Tuesday I had was smoking with Noel, and then like at Thursday there was another game of Ajax, which is against Marseille, which I had a great time, just together with my little sister Renee. I think we shared a good time. It's always great to share like that experience with her, and I also want to focus doing things like this more, maybe with my brother Luke or with my parents for sure. Like sharing this quality time with your family, and I think going on a weekly or a bi-weekly time together with Renee to the games of Ajax. I think that's a good quality time habit, to say so, for sure. So yeah, that was Thursday. It was a 3-3. Like Ajax is currently like, yeah, it's a crazy situation again today, but I will come back to that in a second. And like Friday, I had like a presentation at my old school, at my secondary school, where I was invited by one of my teachers to like give a presentation on what I'm doing currently. It was quite weird to do so, but I think also what I'm developing through these videos is what I developed there as well. It's like my speaking skills, which is something which is really important for sure. So yeah, I think it was something really useful for me, and also gave me like another point of view of how things are going. Like those people were really looking up to me when I mentioned numbers which I'm going up to, numbers which I have done in the past, etc. But for me that feels like quite normal, but it actually isn't. So yeah, that was a kind of a new insight for me, where they were also like, they wanted to learn something from me, but they didn't want it so bad. So there is like, that's the difference. But I'm not sure yet still if you could there was something flying. If you could like learn that drive, or learn that motivation, discipline part, where people want it so badly. I'm quite sure you can learn discipline, but for example, like when people are not in directly completely sure about. I want to do this. Is that teachable? I'm not completely sure about that yet. But yeah, that was kind of weird where they wanted to learn something, but they didn't want it so badly as mentioned. So it was kind of weird, but I had a good time like giving that presentation, and it also was good for the self-confidence for sure. So that was definitely a good thing. And then that like Saturday we had a dinner, which was yesterday with the group, which I will be going to Bali with in 2 weeks. That will be a crazy time, crazy. But I will mention that trip in the 2 upcoming weekly recaps as well. And after those 2 weekly recaps, the third one from now on, which is the 6th in total, will be in Bali, and then there will be a 2.5 month period in Bali. So it will be a crazy period, and a lot of stories and a lot of things will happen there. So yeah, but we had the dinner yesterday with that group, and I think it's an amazing group. I feel like I kind of set it up due to just one dinner, which gave me so much, and that also gave me the insight that doing things like that is always worth your time. So I maybe gotta use that even more. So let me note that down as well. I'm just writing down networking. I know like that's really important. Sometimes you overlook things like that, but by doing this kind of weekly recaps, you come to the point and come to the realization how important things like that are. But that was yesterday, and then today there was another game of Ajax, which is the so-called Klassieker here in the Netherlands. They call it like that. And that was like the game between Ajax and Feyenoord. And I, of course, went through it again as it was a home game in the Johan Cruyff Arena with my sister, and I was like, so kind of crazy. We actually lost like 0-3, but the game got suspended due to some firework on the pitch. Yeah, it was kind of crazy vibes, but still, yeah, I just wanted to mention it and I can look back to it as well, like, oh, that was that kind of period. And also some things which I found out lately is that I can't actually care about things like that anymore. Like things like the games of Ajax, or maybe things like, there are so many things I care about anymore. It could be like Ajax, or it could be like the money which is coming in. Of course I care about it, but how to say so, I like, sometimes I'm also not materialistic attached to things, and losing money doesn't do anything to me. Making a small amount of money also doesn't do that much to me anymore, and also a big amount of money doesn't do. When I'm making like $1,000 currently, which is still quite a lot looking relatively to my total net worth, but it doesn't do anything to me, which is kind of weird. But I'm not sure how that is caused. And this is also with regards to the games of Ajax, for example. It doesn't do anything to me when they either lose or win, which is, I think it's a good and a bad thing at once. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And then on the beginning of this week, which is Monday, I also like, I think so-called agree together with a girl, a Spanish girl, to go to Brussels in 2 weeks. I'm going there alone to meet her, so I was wondering what will be going on over there. Of course, I will take you with me in that as well. Yeah, I think it will be a good visit, and it's a bit, of course, out of my comfort zone, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I think when the vibes is good, we'll have an amazing time. I'm not sure whether it will be, but I will do everything within my hands to do so, and I'm quite sure we'll have a good time. But again, I will take you with me in that like road, that kind of situation, that kind of experience is the good word as well. But to say so right now, I'm feeling quite excited, and there's some kind of love with me. It doesn't feel like a lover, but it's some kind of attraction which only girls can cause in you, which is also like grabbing my attention a bit out of the business part, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I gotta manage that as well, and there's some part of life. So that's also why I'm completely fine with that. I just want to mention that Again, I will come back to it next week again, and in 1.5 weeks I will be there. So yeah, again, I'm quite looking forward to it. Then about the business part, it's going quite well. We are coming closer and closer toward where I want to be. The systems are currently almost set it up, and it's the same story every week, which is feeling not good for me, as like that doesn't feel like I'm making progression. But however, I think like that's just part of the journey currently. Like setting up these kind of structures takes some time, but I'm still completely convinced about the fact that this could be taking off so badly as soon as this is all set up. But we're currently still optimizing, and I think it will be just a matter of time as soon as this is done, when it is just completely over. And one thing which I want to mention, which is also a tip for everyone watching, is that you should always still focus on what are your monthly goals, yearly goals, and get that back to weekly tasks, and then get that weekly tasks back to daily tasks. That's so important. This is what gave me the ability to reach my goals, and I sometimes overlook this really important fact. But I will be focusing on this more for the upcoming week. So for example, I noticed 6 things which I want to get done for this week, and then each and every day I will go back to those 6 things, and I will go right through it and say like, okay, is there anything I can do on this point? Is there anything I can do on this point? And then when there's, at the end of the day, I did everything for those 6 points, each and every one, each and everything. And then at the end of the week, those 6 things must be done, or at least I did everything within my hands to get it done. And that is, those 6 things will lead to my goals when I have the overview, which I'm making at like Sunday, which is my review and planning day. So that definitely makes sense, I hope. And for me, it makes so much difference, but I kind of overlooked how important this is. But I will be focusing on this the upcoming week as well more. And then there is another thing which I found out, I kind of overlooked how important it is, and that is the dopamine standards, and that comes with habits. Like having a bad habit of checking your phone real quick, or it doesn't have to be your phone. It could be like having something in the background playing while you're cooking, while you're eating. It can be like doing two things at the same time while you're waiting, while your screen is loading. All those small things are causing that I'm not able to do like low dopamine tasks. So I gotta make sure that I put the dopamine standards back to where they were, and I will do that by doing things which are also have a lot of other benefits, which are both reading and meditation. And I will focus on doing this each and every day for the upcoming week at least, and then at the end of the week I will recap you as well again on how that I've been doing and what the changes I've been feeling. I think there won't be massive changes, but of course over the months and over the years ahead of us, like doing these kind of weekly things each and every day will make a big difference in the end. And that is also what I read last, I think it was yesterday, in this book. So I also picked it up like a couple days ago when I started reading again. And the thing which was in this book, let me check whether I can grab it. Yeah, this is also on the progress part, which I did just mention. And this is good, like a graphic where you see like we expect growth to be going linear as we are putting in more and more work, but mostly like the work is going linear and the results are coming exponential. Let me explain that with the text which is stated with it. And you think it should happen like linear, but what actually happens is that it goes exponential. And between these two graphs, there's the valley of disappointment. We often expect progress to be linear. At the very least, we hope it will come quickly. In reality, the results of our efforts are often delayed. It's not until months or years later that we realize the true value of the previous work we have done. This can result in a valley of disappointment, where people feel discouraged after putting in weeks or months of hard work without experiencing any results. However, this work was not wasted, it was simply being stored. It's not until much later that the value of previous effort is revealed. So what this displays again is that the work, it's not about, like, for example, you were listing 50 products, and it's not that the 50th product, when it's taking off, those 49 products in front of it were worthless. That's just exactly what they are trying to say. It's all part of, and then the 49 product, and then there's where the value of disappointment is, and then it's going linear. For example, this is just a dropshipping practical example which I'm taking with it, but this is something I've learned as well, and this all has to do with the business part. And in this book they were also like explaining the what is so called like it's so called the exponential effect of doing small things each and every day. So yeah, that will be something I'll be focusing on with reading and meditation as well for the upcoming week. And I also know that Aura did it at the beginning of this meeting and when I was talking about sleep. So that will be the habits which I will be focusing on in the upcoming week, together with the business part which I just mentioned. Next week I will see you again and I will review how that will be doing. I think that was it for this week. See you everyone. Ciao ciao.